are you? All right, well, I am absolutely exhausted. If I had known I was going to be up for 18 hours, I would have worn my 18-hour bra. 18-hour well, let's just do a little update from last year. So we'll talk about my husband Jim first. Okay? All right. So you all know that he's now 73. He's no longer 72. He's up a year, 73. And this is basically what I say at my parties to get new parties. So I say, ladies, I said, you know, please book a party because I have to explain what my life is like at home. My husband is 73, so let me paint a word picture. At 70, he gave up wearing underwear. So he's wearing no underwear. He's sitting on the couch watching the Weather Channel with the remote control, and he's freeze framing the screen, and there's no sound on. So this is my hellish life. And then now it's kind of sunny outside on the base, so now he's taken to wearing sunglasses in the house. So he's sitting on the couch, watching the TV, no sun, with sunglasses. So that's not so good. The good news update on me is that already this year, if the directors hold, I've already earned excellence in all 4 categories. So the trifecta be damned, we went on to the 4th. So Love and I are going to chat with you a little bit, not just on the topic that we were given, because that's just how we are. We're going to go off topic. And so the first thing that I have to ask is, I'm sure the girls thought, like, how can we make Marna look even worse than she always looks? Oh, I know, let's put Mickey Mouse ears on her. So here I am. So here's the deal. Love and I have been chatting about this workshop because, quite honestly, we were saying to each other, like, we need to go and learn some of these things that we're chatting on. So the message that I want to start with is that we've all been in every phase of the business, sometimes in one day. You know, the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. And this is a storm you have to learn to ride if you're going to earn excellence year after year, if you're going to be in the top year after year. You cannot let one little thing derail you. And that happens quite often because a lot of us are women and we're, you know, emotionally equipped, and when something bad happens, we shut down. So I want to have you draw a circle on your paper, if you could for me, a fairly big circle, please and thank you. And at the top, at 12 o'clock, I'd like you to write the word growth. At 3 o'clock, I'd like you to write plateau. At 6 o'clock, I'd like you to write decline. And at 9 o'clock, if you could write rebuild. These are the cycles that I have found that you cannot avoid in this business. There is nothing in life that is always going to be at the highest of the highs. Think about any relationship, anything worth having is always going to have that wonderful high, but it's also going to be accompanied by a low. Think about any Disney story. It's not all happy stuff, right? There's always a protagonist, there's always a point where all is lost, right? And if you stopped reading that story at that point, that would be the worst thing. There would be no Disney World because everybody would be so depressed, like, oh, these stories suck. I mean, it's terrible. Everybody's... So what you find out is that there is good to come. They just have to persevere. They find a solution and they're back up. So when you think about your business, let's talk about the growth cycle first, okay? Growth cycle. So what words come to mind when you think about the growth cycle? What's happening? Energy. You feel good, right? You're growing. Things are going well. How many of you, though, have ever been in one of those cycles and you think, this is never going to end? I made it. And it's not true. It's not true. It will not last always. So a growth cycle, and every business has this, every economy has this. The good news is that we're not all growing and slumping at the same time, because if we were, the company would be screwed, because we'd all be like, and you know, Gene would have no paycheck. So that would be a big, but you know what I mean? So my growth cycle might not be yours, and what we tend to do is compare it. You know, I hear Steve Drapolsky promoted 7 directors last month. I am extremely happy for him. It's wonderful. He's in his growth cycle. All of you have had that cycle. Everybody here has had it. So the other words that I think about is prosperity. boom, expansion, okay? All right, so that cycle will last for as long as you can ride on it. And Love's going to talk to you about how to take that cycle and squeeze out every little bit you can get. But following that will be a plateau cycle. Plateau is where we all believe, I've made it, this is good, I can keep doing exactly what I'm doing. The truth is, if you are not growing, you are dying. There is no neutral in direct sales, there just isn't. You can park for a little while, but what happens then is that you're going to go into somewhat of a depression, a decline, a slump. Now the length of that time, that slump, is all up to you. Because you can get right out of it and go right into rebuild, refuel, recovery. But it takes something to make you do it. You've got to wake up and go, oh my God, something's happening. So the words I want you to think about in this business is being active. Active is the activities you're doing right now. You're just doing what you know you need to do. But you also have to be reactive. You have to respond to what's happening. And nobody taught me how to do this. Nobody taught me how to figure out, oh my gosh, here's the signs. I better react and do something different, because if I don't, I'm going to go into a slump. And the other word that you want to write down is being proactive. And proactive is what people do to plan. And this is what the home office does. You know, we're running our businesses sometimes by the seat of our pants. They can't do that. They're thinking ahead of what's going to be going on in 6 months, a year. You need to do the same thing. At least, for God's sakes, do a 6-month plan. And think about what you're going to do to plan for your business. So what got me here and what got you here, however many years ago, is probably not going to keep you here anymore. And that's the brutal truth. Things change at lightning speed. And I have always said, and a lot of my teams and my friends that are here, we love our cooking parties. And we're going to go to the grave doing cooking parties. Well, guess what? We're going to go to the grave. So I'm not saying we're going to give up our cooking parties. But after talking to Love and the movers and the shakers, guys, when you embrace the virtue and you really figure it out, your business explodes all over the country. And that's how it's working for these teams. When you see these teams growing, it's through virtual. So I want you to really be open to thinking about what could I take from this that I can change. Because if you do the same thing over and over and over and over, that's the absolute definition of insanity. And I'm very guilty of this. I like my routine. I like what I've been doing. But I've been through, I think what we're going to talk about in a minute is 6 months ago, the company gave us a huge gift. What was it?
Free $29.
A $29 kit. Isn't it ironic that here we are 6 months later, a new season, isn't the timing perfect? They've given us another reason to go into rebuild mode. And that's part of their planning, and they're being proactive and thinking, okay, because it worked. And that's one of the, let's give it up for the $39. But I will tell you that without that influx of 79 people to my team in September, I doubt I would have promoted to senior executive. I really don't think it. Because that gave us such momentum and such growth and such excitement. And now we've got the chance to do it again, right? So you cannot let an opportunity like this pass you by. You cannot be on like cruise control, like maybe I'll recruit somebody or maybe not. You need to set a goal, and we're going to talk about recruiting in a minute, but you've got to set that goal so high that you blow it out of the water, and you will be in such a growth mode, and it can last for months and months. So let me have lovely Love come on up, and she's going to tell you about what happened when she really decided to make some changes in her business. So this is Love Carpenter.
Y'all don't fall asleep, because I'm the serious one, not the funny one. So Marna and I are just curious, is there anybody in here who only does cooking shows? Which is fine, we're just curious. Almost. Is there anyone who's primarily cooking shows?
Primarily.
Okay. And then is there anybody in here who's primarily or all virtual? Okay, we were just kind of curious, so, all right. So, talking about the cycles of your business. And I'm going to be very honest and very transparent here. And some of you guys know me, and so what I'm fixing to share might shock some of you guys, but it is what it is. So last year, or for quite a few years, I've had really, really big goals in the business. And for a lot of years was just doing what Marna was talking about, the same thing over and over and over and not getting anywhere. And that same thing was I was doing cooking shows. And there's nothing wrong with cooking shows. They bring great sales. I did cooking shows last month. I still do cooking shows. But I wasn't, changing. I wasn't changing my business with the times. And so a couple years ago, a friend shared with me a little bit about virtual. And I took the virtual party to my team. And thank God I had some people on my team that were better at virtual than I was, and that's what made our team grow. It wasn't the virtual parties I was doing, but it was the little bit of information I had in virtual that I took to our team, and it was the virtual consultants on our team, or consultants that were doing both cooking show and virtual, that were having the most success on our team. And the ones that weren't open to growing in other ways were not having success and are no longer directors on our team. And so that was a big wake-up call for me that I had to change. And I kept trying to do virtual and not having very much success with it, and thinking, well, there's all these other people that are so successful doing virtual, and it's just not me. I don't get it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I just didn't feel successful with the virtual party. And I was thankful that my team was having success with virtual, but I really was not. And so the turning point that I had was an executive seminar in October this past year, just a few months ago. And I'm hoping that if you are experiencing a place in your business where you do need change and you do need to make some change, I'm hoping you can find that same aha moment for yourself here that I had in October at Executive Seminar. So last year we had really big goals. I had really big goals, our team had really big goals, but we just weren't moving forward. And the pace of the leader determines the pace of the pack. And I don't care how you look at it, that will always be true. And my business had shrunk and shrunk and shrunk over the years because I was doing less cooking shows, but I just couldn't figure the virtual parties out. So I was really struggling with still trying to do cooking shows, but I wasn't doing those 17 to 20 some cooking shows every month that I used to that got us to an executive team. But then again, I wasn't having huge success with virtual either, so I was just stuck. That's all there was to it. So to kind of share some stats with you so you can understand what happened last year. In January of last year, I personally sold $3,011. That's not too bad for a director, but I'm an executive director in the company. In February, I sold $4,219. But what's significant about that is that until I returned from executive seminar, those were my two highest sales months of the entire year in 2018. In fact, they were almost double what I sold for the rest of 2018. So I was not performing at a level that could let my business grow to the goals and where we were wanting to go. And so I encourage you to take a good hard look at your personal business. And is your personal business at a level that can support the growth and the goals that you have and where you want to take your business and your team? Because ultimately it's up to us and where we are. So at that executive seminar, I saw all of these people having huge growth and building huge teams. And I'm like, what in the world's wrong with me? I'm like, what am I missing? And so the big changing point was I decided. That was it. I made up my mind and I decided that no matter what, it was up to me to figure this out. And that is where everything changed. And the reason I shared those numbers from you from January and February of last year is because now I want to share some numbers from January and February this year. And this is what can happen when you decide to change things. So in January of this year, me and my whole team got off to a little slow start because the pace of the leader determines the pace of the pack. And I didn't do too much heading into the new year. So I had to get a grip and get a grip fast. So about mid-January, I really got serious about what I was doing. And I had done a good job picking up my show schedule in November and December. So mid-January, I got really serious about virtual parties. And I sold over $9,000 in personal sales in the last 2 weeks of January.
Wow.
Compared to the $3,000 that I did the entire month. And then I went on to sell $10,600 in February. 28 days. So again, the pace of the leader determines the pace of the pack. So what happened to our team because of the changes I came home in October and put in place, and it was the leader of our team and encouraging our team and bringing my team along with me. Last year, a lot of months, my personal team sold around $11,000. And that's good for a director team, but that was not good for where I wanted to go with my goals. So my personal team sold around $11,000, a little bit more some months. But I'm proud to say that my personal team in February sold over $44,000. In our organization, in just 28 days, and I am super proud of our entire organization and these ladies that are here with me this weekend, our organization in 28 days had the biggest month we have ever had in the history of my career with Pampered Our team sold $90-some thousand last February. And we sold $190-some thousand. And what I'm also excited to share with you is it didn't take a whole year to turn that around, because remember, I didn't make that decision till October. And I came home from executive seminar in mid-October and got to work. So what did I do to get to work? So the big thing is I made that decision and that commitment to myself to change things. But what did I do? This is the biggest tip I can tell you if you are kind of stuck and not happy with where you are, or maybe you have been happy with where you are, but now you have bigger goals and you want to move further, is I became a student of the business. And I spent a lot of my time figuring out what other people were doing. I sought out people that were having success and doing what I wanted to do. And I asked questions. I listened to every training they did. I re-listened to every training they did. I pretty much stalked them on social media to figure out what it was they were doing that tips that I could get, and just, I didn't see myself successful in the virtual world. And so I had to become a true student of that business and figure it out. So from there, and just to give you some tips, because I know that if I was sitting there, I would want to know, well, that's all great, but what did you do to turn it around? So to give you some tips on some things I did in January. And when I also want to give a big shout out to one of our team members here, Jennifer Henderson. You're going to hear from her this weekend. But Jennifer is one of those consultants in our team that took the training that I came and shared from the virtual parties that I had learned, and just took it and ran with it and had so much more success than I had ever had with it. So she's one of the people I became a student of the business. I called Jennifer, come meet with me, I picked her brain, and I did everything that Jennifer Henderson told me to do, and it works. So when she does this training this weekend, listen to her because it works. So she is one of those people that I became a student of the business. So she shared this little tip with me, and she had seen this somewhere else, and we were all copying what everybody else was doing, okay? So we put up this post on our page, and Jean, maybe close your ears, because I heard a call maybe just anyway. But it's not anything bad, but we just put up a post that says, if you love Pampered Chef, pick a number, 1 to 60, whatever. Some of y'all have seen that, right? But here's what you need to make sure you understand, and if you train your team to do, and there's different posts, the stoneware stuff, that, there's different things that go around. Share, get something from somebody else. But the important thing to understand and teach your team about doing those type activities is that you're not just doing it to give something away. There's a purpose behind this, okay? And so what that post did was it gives you a funnel of people that weren't already on your radar to reach out to about bookings. You got to be willing to give something away, but then after that, it just opens up. These people, if you love Pampered Chef, pick a number. Well, these people are on Facebook going, hey, me, I love Pampered Chef. So why not reach out and ask if they want to have a show? And it's no big deal if they don't want to have a show. I message them back and I say, thank you so much for your honesty. And you're totally awesome. Thank you for playing along with my post on Facebook. I make them feel really good about telling me no, because I don't want them to not play along with me in the future. And so it's just no big deal. And, one of the big things I see with new consultants is that fear of rejection and stuff. And they're not saying no to you, they're just saying no to that opportunity that you're offering them. And so you're not focused on the people that say no. This is something I see a lot of new consultants get hung up on. The people that tell them no and the people that don't respond. So what we've got to get focused on is not those people that tell you no and the people that don't respond, but casting that wide net to find the people out there that are interested and focus on those people. So when I sat down and did that, I booked 30 parties in a matter of 2 to 3 days, 10 for the next week, 10 for the next, and 10 for the next. So I ran 10 virtual parties for the following 3 weeks, and that put my business back on track. So I recruited 2 people personally in those last 2 weeks. I recruited 5 people personally in February, and some more leads of shows that are closing out that will be signing this week. But not only my personal recruiting, but my personal team recruiting has been out of sight. Because of that, one of the new team members, because of the leader determining the pace of the pack, one of the new team leaders, one of the new consultants that came into our team in January, one of my personal team members recruited her in January and called me up and she said, I've never done a virtual party before. I have a new consultant that would like to know how to do virtual parties. Can you train her? So she signed up about mid-January. She's only in her 34th or 36th day as of yesterday. And so I wanted to share some numbers that this new consultant went on to do. And this would never have been possible without me becoming a student of the business and learning it well enough to train her. Now, she had the success, not me. But if I hadn't been able to give her the direction, she wouldn't have known how to have the success. Now, she's a little above average. She works full-time. She's a school teacher. I told her to go out and book 4 parties a week. And that's another big turning point in my business, was I was trying to run my virtual business the way I ran cooking shows. And what we got to remember is it takes 2 virtual parties to equal 1 cooking show, no matter what. So if you wanted to do 8 shows a month doing the cooking show business, you've got to have 16 shows a month to do the virtual business. Because 1 will drop, 1 will flop, and 2 will pop, okay? And that's what I teach my new consultants. 1 will drop, 1 will pop, and 2 will flop. Meaning 1 might not qualify, 1 might get a couple no orders at all, and then you have 2 to get a commission check with. But if your consultants are only doing 2 virtual parties every week, then what if it's the one that drops and the one that flops? They think it doesn't work. And that's what my team had been doing for a whole year, and that's what I had been doing, and so I thought it didn't work. So I told her to go book 4 parties. Well, she was an overachiever, so she booked 5. 1 of them was 0 in sales, 1 of them was $144 in sales. So what if those were the only 2 virtual parties she booked? Okay? But 2 of them were over 500 and 1 was over 800. Nice. When she closed out with the host, she submitted over $2,000 in her first week of parties. Okay? But had I not become a student of the business, I wouldn't have been able to share that with her. In week number 2, she booked 5 parties. She had 1 that didn't qualify, but out of those 5 parties, she submitted over $3,700 in sales in her second week of virtual parties. In her 3rd week of virtual parties, she had over $1,800 in sales, and in her 4th week, she only had $1,300 because she signed up 5 consultants and promoted to director last night. She booked 19 shows for February. The last time I talked to her about her March bookings, but this past week was a little crazy because she had that goal to promote, but she had at least 11 March bookings for the first 2 weeks when I talked to her last about that. So she earned $430 in her first week as a new consultant, over $750 in her second week as a new consultant. That also promoted her director to advanced director. Her director saw what she did that first week. Remember I told you that her director had never done virtual parties, right? Yeah. So after she saw that the girl she recruited sold $2,000 and made $431 in her first week, she called me and she said, well, I'd like to learn how to do this too. So I am so proud of her. She sold personally over $5,200 in her first month of virtual parties. She had never done a virtual party before February. So she started her virtual business in February and promoted from consultant to advanced director in February. So, do you think it was worth my time and energy to become a student of the business?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So, I just really want to encourage you that, if you're stuck anywhere in your business, find the people who are having success, search them out, become a student of what you want to learn how to do. And I knew that that's what was holding me back, and that we could not achieve the big goals that we had, that I had for our team and that we had as a team if I didn't figure this out. So we had 3 promotions in our organization this month. We are only 2 away from senior executive director. March is the month. So, and also when you have this growth mode, Marna talked about the cycles that we experience. One thing that you want to remember when you're in growth mode is to capitalize on this growth. I didn't just sit back and enjoy those big sales that I was having. I capitalized on what was going on. Well, if you're having big sales, what is also happening? You're in front of a lot of people to share the business, so you can recruit. So I capitalized on my personal recruiting, and although I signed 2 and 5, some of those people have already recruited. So, you know, the growth is coming in on my personal team. So really stepping up my recruiting, then stepping up my new consultant training, because now we have more people coming in, and that's something you all want to leave here really focused on, is stepping up your new consultant training for the month of March, because you're going to have a lot more people coming on your team with the influx of this new kit, so you want to be prepared to have good systems in place for new consultant training. I'm planning on doing a new consultant training call every single week this month and probably into next month to support these new people coming on, instead of the regular schedule that we would do. Another thing is I kept fast track in front of each one of these new people that are coming on. So our team did a fast track call on Monday to invite all of these new consultants to come hear about this $2,000 cash bonus. Thank you, Becky Ishii. This $2,000 cash bonus is on the table for them. I use Becky's words. And keep that in front of them and let them know how they can earn it. So we did a call and invited all of them to participate in a fast track program that is a class that teaches them how to fast track in the month of March. So on Monday night, we are doing a fast track class to teach them the skills they need to build a business on the fast track. And so we personally invited them, and we're super excited about our fast track class that starts on Monday. So, and also, if, like this fast track class I'm talking about, if you're sitting there and you're like, well, this sounds all good, but I don't have anybody to invite to my fast track class, go recruit with a $39 kit, invite those people to a call, and then if one of them takes you up on it, do a call with one of them. If 2 of them take you up on it, do a call with 2 of them. I can remember when I first started doing my own director meetings. It was me and one other person. So just create the energy and create what you want to be there. So Marna and I also really want to talk to you today about culture in your team. So when you leave here, we want you to have in mind the culture that you want to create in 2019. Culture is a set of shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that characterize your organization or your team. It's a set of shared attitude, values, goals, and practices that characterize your organization or your team. The culture is what we do and say, the way we behave, and the way we treat others on our team. So how many of you would like to create a culture of teamwork, monthly activity, fast-paced recruiting growth, and career plan advancement on your team this year? All right, so we're going to equip you to do just that. So I want you to think for just a minute, what are 3 words that describe the existing culture on your team today? And write those down in your notes. 3 words that describe the existing culture on your team today. Those should just pop right out. You know what your culture is on your team today. All right, so then I want you to write down 3 words that you want to describe your culture for the year 2019. That positive energy and that culture that you want to create or cultivate. Maybe you've started some of it of fast-paced growth, or you pick 3 words that describe what you want your culture to look like and what you want to create this year in your team. Three words to describe the culture that you want to create within your organization and your team for 2019. So I want to remind you that culture is not something that you are going to go home and, on Monday, you got it. Okay? It's something that's built slowly over time, and it's not something that's done with just one quick change. So it's not really one big thing you do. It's actually a lot of little things that you do over and over and over. So as you listen to Marna and I talk tonight, and everyone talked this weekend about teamwork and activity, fast-paced recruiting growth, and career plan advancement, I want you to be thinking of the little things that you can take away from this retreat and go home and start doing on your team. But don't just go home and do it one time in March. Things that you can do over and over and over, and that's how you build culture. Okay, so we're going to start out with teamwork and monthly activity.
All right. Wasn't she amazing?
Yes!
Lovely, so good. So one of the cultures that we are tasked with, and one of the expectations of directors, is to lead their team to have monthly activity and teamwork. It's one of the goals that we're supposed to do. The goal of a director is not just to make your 5,000 by the skin of your teeth. You know, that is not, we're tasked with a whole lot of things because we want great things for our team. And I'm going to not lie to you. Some months this is a struggle for me. I mean, some months my team works great and it is unbelievable. And sometimes, you know, like when you have a really bad show and your husband says, how was it? You go, it was unbelievable. Because you never want to say, oh my gosh, it was terrible. But some months I struggle and it is unbelievable, right? But there's things that, that we can do to try to affect it. Again, we're going to be planning and we're going to be reacting and we're going to take action. So I just have a couple of things to chat with you about that first goal. So first of all, you really have to know where your personal team starts. So in my former life, I worked with nothing but numbers. I love numbers. I could analyze numbers all day long. Other friends of mine,
Cry.
they don't love it. They don't love numbers. They don't know where to start. But one of the numbers that I would task you to look at is what is the percent of your team that is active per month? How many of your team actually sell? How do you find that? If you look at your prior year comparison, you will see a number of your end count. That's your total people that are available to sell. And then you will see a number of how many actually sold. So what's a good number? From what I've looked at in the industry, I would think 40 to 50% would be good. Because we have, I mean, this is a volunteer army. I mean, so to try to get half of your people to sell, I think you'd be doing really well. I'll be honest, I analyzed mine. In January, in my org, it was only 31%. But the average person who sold, and this is another thing to figure out, what is each person who actually gets out and goes out and actually becomes active, what do they actually sell? It was $1,452. Now imagine if you could do some things to get in place, getting more people out there and opening up their businesses, how it could affect your attitude, your growth, your bottom line, your paycheck, their paycheck, it would be amazing, yes? So here's a couple of thoughts on what you could do to focus on that. So first of all, you must post a goal. If you don't have it in the header of your team page, you need to put out what's your goal for the month. Our goal is to have 10 active consultants, 10,000 in sales, and 10 new recruits. And you need to track it and celebrate it and recognize the people who are helping you make your goal. You must set a goal, and it's got to be something. It can't be just like, hey, we'd like to be alive at the end of the month. It's got to be something. I think at a retreat that I did with Patty and Marie, I think one of the speakers said, maybe it was Jean or somebody, or no, it was Judy. Jean wasn't there. She's looking pretty somewhere else. Judy was there. It was, I think if your goal doesn't keep you awake at night, it's not big enough, okay? You're just settling for way too less. And that's probably what my problem has been and some of your problem. So post your goal. All right, so now if you use a Facebook group, you should be posting regularly ideas on what your team can do to get sales, how to get a new booking. And I think the key to the business is a booking of some kind. And what I think happened in some businesses is that teams depended on their consultants just to go out and sell 10 pasta cookers or sell 10 brownie pans. Well, who are they selling to when they do that?
Same people.
The same people, their friends, their family. And we don't want to burn out their friends and family. But what could happen if they got one party and there were 10 people there? Now they got 10 new people. So I want you to make that part of your biggest focus ever with your teams, is to address this situation that parties of some kind are the way to go. You can do these daily activities as a little extra, but that cannot sustain your business. One of the best things that I did to help with the growth in the fall was to do a booking blitz with my entire organization, but in a little different way. How many of you have done a booking blitz? And typically booking blitzes are done, each person goes home and they're like Scrooge McDuck, trying to get their bookings all on their own in their dungeon. This time, I divided them into teams. Anybody who would participate, and typically speaking, about 50 people would participate in each booking blitz. So the rules were, I divided them into teams, and there was usually about 8 to 10 on a team. They had to pick a team name and a team captain, and they had to all friend request each other and form a group. What this does is it causes people to work together for a common goal, and it works brilliantly, really, really, really well. Way better than having people work siloed. You put them together, and so you tell them, hey, we're going to have a booking blitz. This team is, the Mouseketeers, and this team is the Disney Divas, and only the team captain posts in the group when they get a booking. So Disney Divas got a booking, Terry, Marie got a booking, and they would put a graphic up in the booking blitz that goes along with whatever your theme is. If it's Disney or whatever. We did snowmen, we did turkey trot, and they would find the craziest pictures of turkeys. It was so fun, and it creates so much energy. And typically speaking, we would run the booking blitzes for 3 days, and I had to do nothing. Because it used to be, when I do a booking blitz, I was tracking the bookings, and nothing. The team captain does that all. So I'm going to tell you about a team captain, loves, got these great success stories. Lori McCullen's team is a gal in her 3rd gen named Megan Burns. And Megan Burns helped a girl get to director because she's got sales like crazy. And the reason she started to get sales is she was named the team captain. That girl was brand new and blew it out of the water, and she just had a $5,000 a month herself. And it all started with her being a team captain on a booking blitz, and it gave her confidence, and she just has blossomed. So I would encourage you to do that. So I did those for 3 months, and that helped teams qualify because people were getting bookings on my downline teams. Another thing that helped in December, because to get to senior executive, you have to make your goal 3 months in a row. And silly us, we were doing November, December, January. Hello, who thought that one out? And about December 15th, my good friend Love and a couple of other friends, I said, we just are not going to make it. We just do not have the sales. I have teams that don't have the sales, and here we are. It's December 10th or 12th or whatever. So Love had the idea to do a Cinderella challenge, a Cinderella sale. And the Cinderella sale was just a one-night sale, and their message was to send out to 10 or 20 friends and say, hey, my team is in a Cinderella challenge. We have a whole lot of gift ideas under $10. Would you consider placing a $10 or $15 order? Brought in thousands of dollars worth of sales because it was Christmas time, the holidays. But it also proved to the team that people do want to buy our stuff. They just don't always want to book a party in. So we got to give people an opportunity just to purchase. I did it myself. It brought in quite a bit of sales. It was very fun. It was very exciting. Another thing we do is recognize teams as they go green. Or you could, if you're a team leader or director, recognize people as they become active. You don't have to send them something. I don't need a green keychain or anything, and your team probably doesn't either, but they just want to see their name. Oh my gosh, congratulations, Sue Stein is already green for the month of February. Do you all do that? Do you all recognize your activity? Because if you don't, it's cheap and easy, right? You can do it. Another thing to do is at your meetings, explain to people why it's important to be active every month and what it means to the team and what it means to their business. Some people don't know that they lose their career sales. I don't think it's always that obvious, right? So I always send out a message. I run the report and send the message out the first week. Hey, this is your second month without sales, so make sure you turn in, and here's some ideas on how to turn in sales this month. And you know, you can catch people early in the month, because you know the rule. If you talk to somebody early in the month, who's it all about?
Yeah.
If you talk to them on the 28th, 29th, or 30th, who's it all about? You. So that's part of that proactive digging and being a leader and figuring out what can you do to change things. So another thing to build that team culture is to maybe think about your live meetings in a little different manner. Now, the scary thing to me is that a lot of people don't do live meetings anymore. And what's the reason that you hear? Why? No one will come, right? And I was fortunate to build a business with all the girls that are here with me. We have almost all local director team. We have 18 directors within 30 miles of each other, for the most part. We're not scattered all over. We're all over each other, right? So we have a lot of local team because we have not embraced the virtual like you all. You know, Lori and Lori's teams are pretty much in their backyard. And we're going to change that though, right, girls?
Yep.
Okay, good. Me too. But one of the things that I have done is turn my team meetings into more of a social event. I want you to think about what you enjoy about coming to these retreats. Now, you certainly enjoy listening to me ramble on. I'm pretty sure about it now. But the things that we really like are the get-to-know-you games, the inspiration, the fun. So we've done a bunco. We do an hour meeting, and then we play bunco for an hour. Now, does bunco have anything to do with Pampered Chef? Not a thing, but what do you think it does? Brings people in, and it gets them, it connects them, and they want to come again next month. Another thing that we do, we just did at a meeting, is we did the first hour of the meeting, we did it as a quick cooker class. So all of your consultants can invite anybody who's got a quick cooker or has got a pressure cooker. I don't even care if it's my brand. Just come and we'll teach you how to do cook with your quick cooker, right? So we had 50 people come, 50 people. And we turned it into a booking and a recruiting thing, and we signed a recruit, and I got a booking, and I know my team's got bookings. Plus, we had a whole lot of customers that were so geeked to come cook with us. We call it, come cook with your Pampered Chef consultant. And they come and cook. And we had 8 stations. I can give you details if you want later. I probably don't have time now, but you don't bring, I mean, you have to have some help if you're going to do it for this many people. And one of the things I found is that you always limit how many can come. Even if you have a, Wembley Stadium, you could fit 100,000, you say, limited to the first 25 RSVP. It always works. I always sell out. And I give a prize to the first 10 through the door. But that, turn your meeting into something other than just come to be bored. Because here's the deal. Well, but here's the brutal truth. There is training available everywhere. If training and telling people how to do it was the answer, there would be nobody fat, nobody smoking, no divorces, no alcoholics. There would be no problems. Because where can you find any information you want to know? Where can you find it? Yeah, on your phone. It's available. So information we're finding is not the key. It's relationships. And who mentioned this? I think Nancy Jo mentioned this is a relationship-based business. Build that relationship with your team, and they will come. I promise you. Now, does it always work? Not always. Has it always worked with my director team? Not always. I mean, I'll be honest, my director team is fractured. I have great friends that came with me today, and I have other directors who would give me the time of day. They will not.
You can pay us on the way out. She slipped me a 50.
But
I got 100. Mine was 100.
But, thank you. But, we talk about slumps and we talk about highs. So we came off a high in January. I had all of my director teams green except for 2 in January. And in February, I didn't even get paid as an executive. Out of my 11 first gen, only 5 were green. It happens. So you know what? Instead of just going, oh my gosh, I've given up. This is the month. Now, the company's given me this great gift, so now I'm all back into regrowth mode. I'm so excited to be there. So anyway, another thing is we play bingo too. Bingo is a big one, and you can do bingo virtually. You do it through Zoom. You could set the limit if you're active. If you have a small team, if you're active, I'll send you a bingo card and you can join me on Zoom and we'll play bingo. I promise you they love bingo. I did it for a whole year to build culture. And I know a lot of my downline because of bingo. Because they would come on with me in Zoom and I would send out $5 my McDonald's gift cards, to winners. People love chance. I mean, we live in Michigan. We're like, oh wait, gosh. They like gambling. They like gambling.
Some of us are Standish.
So anyway,
We got a casino.
I think you're next. Okay. So that's a little bit about activity and a little bit about team culture and probably a little bit that you didn't even want to hear from me. So there that is. So here comes love to bring some sensibility to the program.
This is a big treat to be speaking with Marna, because I used to follow Marna around at conferences. She would really give me the time of day. And I'd tell her, I want to be her when I grow up.
I know.
So I get to stand up here and talk with Marna about recruiting. So that's a little surreal right there. So now I'm going to train you in recruiting. All right. So you'll get to hear from Marna in that too, don't worry. All right. So in creating a culture of fast-paced recruiting growth, who do you think that starts with? You. Right. Okay. So the culture of fast-paced recruiting growth starts with us. So if I wanted to create a culture of fast-paced recruiting growth in virtual parties, I myself had to figure out how to recruit in virtual parties. So I called Jennifer Henderson, and she taught me. So I'm telling y'all, this thing about becoming a student of the business is real, and it worked, okay? So you just find out what everyone's having success in the area you want to have it in, find out what they're doing, and then go try it and try it and try it again until you figure it out how it works for you. So one thing is that you've got to have systems, okay? You can do whatever, but you've got to have a way to make it duplicatable for your team, okay? If you're a stellar recruiter, but you can't teach your team how to do what you're doing, you're not going to be able to create a culture of fast-paced recruiting growth. It's just you having fast-paced recruiting growth. So systems is important to be able to, have yourself duplicatable. Also, to create that culture, you have to have a goal and put a goal out there in front of your team. And I can remember when this was first brought to us by the home office and that concept of putting a goal out to your team. I mean, I was just lost. I had never put any kind of goal out to my team ever in my life other than us maybe trying to build to an executive team. That's probably the first goal I ever put out in front of my team. And now we put goals out in front of our team all the time because it's the culture that we've created. But it was a non-existent culture in my team. It just didn't even exist until we started doing this. So in order to put the goal out there for your team, you have to know what the goal is, right? So when you don't already know what your personal recruiting goal is, and certainly it has changed some for this month, okay? You want to reassess your goals this month when we have a promotion like what we were just given. So make sure that when you leave here this week, your team knows what the goal is for this month in March. Even if you had a 3-month goal out there, or 6-month goal, or a 1-year goal, all that has changed now. So right now, all you want to focus on is the goal for March, okay? And figure out what y'all did in September and decide, do y'all want to beat that? How much do you want to beat it by? What is the number y'all are going for? And make sure by Monday your whole team knows what that goal is. So putting that goal out in front of them and having a way to do it. Something that our teams have a lot of success with over the years is either the freezer paper and writing all the new consultants' names on the freezer paper so they can see it at the meeting, put pictures of it on Facebook. You could do a board with stars. I love sticky note stars and sticky note hearts because they're sticky notes. You don't have to cut anything out. But it's something easy. And then there's those of y'all that know how to do these fancy digital ones, but just get a goal out there and keep that in front of your team. So that's really important. Also, having virtual opportunity events scheduled, just like we do opportunity events with our meetings or recipe nights, things like that, but have virtual ones. If you want to recruit virtually, you need to have a virtual opportunity event set in place for your team. Whether you do that once a month, twice a month, but I can tell you we're going to be doing one every week this month, okay? So, and then we also have the company webinar, which I think is the third Tuesday of every month. Is that right? The third Tuesday of every month. So we also have that we can use to invite. So that can give you a week off this month from your opportunity events. But you want to have more opportunity events put into this month than you would in a regular month with a promotion like this. So those are the type of things that you've got to, those little things we were talking about, little things that you do over and over and over in your business to create success. So let's talk a little bit more specifically, though, about recruiting from virtual parties. So remember I said that I had to learn how to recruit from virtual parties to then be able to create a recruiting culture within my personal team to be able to teach them how to recruit. So when you think about recruiting, do you feel like, do you not share the business sometimes because you feel like you're being pushy, or you feel like that person might not be interested, or, you know, do you prejudge that person? You know, what are you worried about in sharing the business? If you're worried about something, then it's more about you than it is about them. And so we've got to change our perspective in recruiting and offering the business to others. Every single one of us sitting in this room, our life has been drastically changed by our Pampered Chef business. Would you not agree?
Yeah. Yes.
Why would we not want to share that with everyone? Whether they come on our team for a short amount of time to earn a little extra income, stock their kitchen with great products, give it a try, or they stay with us for a long time. We don't know which people are going to come and stay and which aren't. Nancy Jo talked about there was no commitment when she signed up to really, she didn't think of herself really staying with this. She really had her plan to quit after she earned what she came in from. My plan was I was doing this for 1 month because I wanted the kit. I just signed up for the kit, and I kept saying to that lady, that was back when we had to do 6 shows, and I kept saying, and you're sure all I have to do is 6 shows? I was willing to try some shows, but I was not willing to stay with Pampered Chef. But then I was earning money, and I didn't even know what I was doing. It was great. So here I am all these years later. So you never know. This business is for everybody to give a try. So you just offer it to everybody. So we've got to change our thinking about recruiting, because it's more about how we can bless someone else than it is about us. So although there's some great perks for us when you share the business with others, but it's truly more about how we can bless someone else's life with this. So, and I want to share a story with you just to remember when you're sharing the business and you ever feel pushy or feel like maybe that person wouldn't be interested. Remember the years ago when Pampered Chef did those I'm glad you asked segments?
Yeah.
You know, Addie, I'm so glad you asked. You know, so
I like
we did a little mock-up version of that at a little fall kickoff we did in my hometown one year. And one of the girls that we asked to share, she only did like 2. This was way before virtual parties. She only did like 2 parties a month, and she worked full time. She had 2 young children. And what she shared when she stood up and said, I'm so glad you asked, I will never, ever forget. She stood up and she said, that she was so glad that someone had asked her, because although she didn't do a lot with her Pampered Chef business, the little bit of money that Pampered Chef brought into her family every single month, the kickoff was in August, and she shared that month it had enabled her to purchase name brand shoes for both her boys, because she had never been able to do that for them before. And thanks to Pampered Chef, every year they would have to choose. One child would get new shoes to start school with, and the other one wouldn't. And she was able to purchase both of them name brand shoes.
Wow.
Becky, we have to share the story. Yeah.
Yes.
Molly, share the Molly story with the groceries.
Oh, well, some of you have probably seen it on Director Success. I would think most of you have, if you saw some of the feeds about the $29 kit, $39 kit. Molly O'Connor was on there and said that she couldn't buy groceries. She didn't have enough money to buy the kit, and she couldn't even buy groceries for her family. And when the $29 kit became available, she was able to join Pampered Chef, and she fast-tracked, and she's earning all kinds of income. She's buying all the groceries she needs for her family right now.
Oh, my God.
She's so proud of that, and she's working to be able to take her family to Disney, because neither she nor her husband have ever been to Disney. So it's so amazing.
She said when she was growing up, her family couldn't afford to go on those kinds of vacations, and now she's dreaming of this for her family. So this is what you do.
It's bigger than we ever did.
It is what you do. Oh my gosh.
So you guys remember that story about the girl that was able to buy the name brand shoes for her kids to start school and providing groceries for somebody's family, because that's what this is all about, and that's what we have the power to do. So, recruiting through virtual parties, I want to share with you that there are three things I want to share with you about recruiting in virtual parties. Is one, who is your best lead? How to find 3 leads from every party, and what to send them when they want more information. So who's your best lead? How many times do we want to ask the host? 5 times. 1 when you first meet them or when they first book their party. Number 2 is before you set up their party. Ask them if they would like to turn it into the grand opening party, because they can double dip and they can earn the income, the commission from the party, and they can earn the host rewards. So I asked them that before I ever set the party up. And what you're doing, even though they might tell you no, you're planting these seeds. If you don't ever ask them, you just ask them at the end and you get a no, you haven't got them started thinking about it. So it's important to plant these seeds. The third time I ask is when the party starts, by paying them a compliment in the party. Like, you've done such a great job inviting. If you thought any more about doing this, I feel like you could really do, really be great with this. Or maybe they're super great at interacting in the party and engaging their friends. Pay them a compliment about what they're doing and say, you could be really great at this if you thought any more about it. The fourth time is when they hit $300 in sales or get close to it. I would talk to them about the kit credit and how they have already earned $25 towards their starter kit. That's for host only, or $50, so talk about that. Then the 5th time is when I'm closing their party and we're talking about their host rewards. Have you ever closed a party and not offered your host their free rewards?
Oh, no.
Have you ever closed a party and not offered them their half-price items?
No.
Have you ever closed a party and not offered your host their kit reward?
Only 90% of the time.
Okay, so it's a host reward, just like all our other rewards. So make sure you're offering it when you close the party and make a big deal about it, because it is a host-only perk. Also, when you're working with your host, make sure by the end of the party that they know, well, if you were using a posting service, which I use a posting service, I make sure that my hosts know. I send them a message at the end and I say, I bet you thought I was on Facebook all week. Do you realize that I don't make these posts in your party? Yep, there's an app for that. And consultants check into their parties once or twice a day and run very successful parties without being on Facebook all day. Your hosts think if you're using a posting service, I can assure you, your host thinks you're posting all that and that you're on Facebook all day. So make sure they know that you're not, because they don't see how they can do this if they have to be on Facebook all day. So number 2 is how to get 3 leads from every party. So your host is your best lead, and then we want to teach you to find 2 other leads in the party, okay? So I set a goal to have 3 to 5 recruiting conversations from every single virtual party, okay? Now, how are you going to have 3 to 5 recruiting conversations from every virtual party? So look for those, I love how Kristen shared it, look for those party rock stars in the party. So those party rock stars are the people that are commenting on every single thing you put. They're on Facebook more than you are. The people that are playing the games and they're just active. They're in there with everything, sharing their own Pampered Chef products or commenting on your Pampered Chef post and what they love about their products. So reaching out to those party rock stars and paying them a sincere compliment. And then also people to ask questions on the games and on the Q&A, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But actually seeking out people in the party to have conversations with. So if you set a goal to have 3 to 5 recruiting conversations per party, then you can develop your 2 to 3 recruiting leads per party. And what to send them when they want more information? Send them your Be a Consultant link. The Be a Consultant link. Okay, y'all know what that is? Okay, all right, so that's what I send for information. When I'm training my team and trying to create the recruiting culture, one big emphasis I put is that their job is just to go find leads. Their job's not to recruit anybody. Teach them just to go find the leads. If they're having to think, I gotta go recruit somebody from this party, they freeze and they don't do anything. All we need them to do is go find the leads. We can help them develop the leads into somebody that might want to join the business and give them enough information for them to make a decision. So how to, all the things that we do at the cooking show, we've always been trained over the years, inform, invite, interview. That's the secret to recruiting. So how do you transfer that into the virtual world? Well, inform, you've got to create desire in the party by telling your story, creating you can do that through a post that tells your story with a picture of you and your family, or through a video. Either way, but to get your story out there in the beginning, put a post up that talks about watch what you do in the party, and if they could see themselves doing something like that, you can share some more information. I do the pick which apron fits post. You know, the little apron posts that go around, have them comment on that. If they could see themselves on your team, you know, which apron would they pick? That's the virtual consultant, career consultant, catalog consultant, part-time consultant. Planting seeds throughout the party. Each day you need some type of recruiting post to plant that seed. I do the envelope game that I used to do at the cooking show. I do the envelope game in my virtual party about guess the commission check. Because people think we get paid in products. They don't always know that we actually make great money from this. Share a video about the business in there. There's lots of videos on the Pampered Chef YouTube site, or you can download one from the Pampered Chef page that post a video. Usually do that about the 4th day about Pampered Chef. My video is actually one I made, but if you don't have a video about recruiting, just grab them from the website. That's what I used to use. And have those things leading up. So on day 4 of my party, I post the Q&A post that Ask Me Anything, the question ticket game we do at the cooking show. Do that in the virtual party. But you can't just throw that out there. You've got to have planted that desire and those seeds leading up, or they're not going to ask you any questions. But if you've done your job creating that curiosity, they'll ask you questions. So in mine starts out with, this is the biggest opportunity to earn tickets in our party. 10 tickets per question. Like this is the big post, guys. You know, like I make a big deal about that. So asking the questions on that, and then the survey slip at the end. Make sure you're doing a Google survey, because I get a lot of recruit leads that are quiet and don't say anything in the party, and they check on that survey. They want information about the business. So make sure you're doing some kind of survey slip at the end. So for inviting, remember there's a huge difference between informing and inviting. Informing is all those posts, just pushing it out there and getting the information in front of them. But then you've got to personally invite people to take a look, because people aren't going to jump up down in the party and say, hey, me, I'd like to join your team. I mean, it happens to Marna over here, but it doesn't happen to a lot of us. So you've got to personally invite. So that's where you're reaching out to the party rock stars and also the people that comment on the recruiting post that you have. So a message that you might send to one of the recruiting rock stars is, you know, hey Debbie, you've been such a rock star in the Pampered Chef party. I've been seeing you in the party and you seem super excited and engaged. I'm just curious, have you ever thought about doing something like being a virtual consultant with Pampered Chef? I feel like you could be really great at it. But you can't say that you think they would be really great at it if you haven't watched them in the party. So that only works with those party rock stars. Make sense? So you got to say it a different way for the people that are asking questions or doing something on the recruiting post. So I might say, hey, you had a really great question about the business. I'm just curious, have you ever thought about doing something like being a virtual consultant? So the new line that I'm sharing in my parties is, did you know that new consultants on average, because this is true for my new consultants starting on my team, did you know that new consultants on average can earn $200 to $500 a week doing virtual parties? So I asked that question. $200 to $500 a week holding virtual parties. And so that's the inform and then the personal invitation when you're messaging the people in the party. And then that turns into what we used to call an interview, which is now just a message chat on Facebook, just having a chat with them, and teach your consultants to screenshot you their chat so that you can help them with how to respond, because they don't know how to respond. But if you do that with them enough, then they learn how to respond. Just, like instead of having them recruit, just have them get the leads, and then you help them with that whole recruiting conversation, so that you can help teach them how to have that conversation and help them with actually recruiting. And remember that there are recruit leads at every single party, but is there a recruiter at every single party? Because there are recruit leads at every one of your parties. People, I'm not saying you're going to recruit one from every single party. I mean, I know Marna does, but I know that you might not recruit someone from every single party, but there are people in every single party that would take a look at this business for one reason or another. So I hope I've given you some tips for virtual party recruiting. Marna might add something to that for the cookie shows, and then Marna is really going to talk to you about developing leaders.
Okay. All right, Laura. So, sometimes I need to know at this point, like, when is this going to end? So, we're scheduled to end at 8:15. So that's 15 minutes from now. So if you're thinking, for God's sakes, Marna, stop talking, I will very soon. But I want
Aren't they fabulous?
Yes, she did. Well, Love and I go way back. We went to an executive seminar. They threw us together because we really didn't know each other. And me, I'm an open book, and I walk into my room, and my roommate's not there, but I look in the closet, and lined up are 4 white shirts, and 4 pairs of black pants, and nothing else. I go, who is this freak? Well, if you didn't know it, Love was a state trooper before she was a Pampered Chef consultant. And I had to loosen this girl up. We could not room, we could not room together. So for years after, say, do you see I'm wearing a pink shirt, Marna? Do you see I'm wearing a pink shirt? So you never know who you're going to meet for roommates that become lifelong friends. She now has become the mentor. And that's how this cycle works, yes? That's how it works. So let me some of the things that Love talked to you about are recruiting are exactly in line if you're an in-person recruiter. Recruiting is not a big secret. It is easy, but it has to be your focus. So how many of you go to your parties assuming that you're going to get sales, right? Our product is fabulous. People are going to buy, there's no doubt. All right, if you're if you're a halfway decent consultant, you're going to get bookings. It's something that is going to happen with a little work. It's the recruiting that's always the final frontier. If you could get your recruiting business and thoughts to be in alignment with the same way you think about sales and the same way you think about bookings, your recruiting would blow it off the charts. It really would. And that's what, like Love said, she had an aha moment. I had an aha moment many years ago that what did not work for me, and I will just tell you this did not work for me, was informing and inviting at the party and then interviewing later. That did not work for me. Why? And you all know what I've said for many years about that. I would get them right there, and then I would do what I was told to do. All right, well, I'm going to send you home with this information. I'm going to call you tomorrow, and we'll chat. How would that be? And the people went into the witness protection plan. Could not find them. All right. And this is what I like in recruiting too. If I said to you, if you were asking for, how many of you could sell a rock crock and feel not guilty at all about it? How many of you love selling rock crocks, right? Because we know it will change their life forever. $119, it'll change their life. If somebody said, oh, I think I might want to get a rock crock, and you said, well, let me just send you home the catalog, I can think about it, right? Go ask your husband, why don't you sleep on it? Okay, nothing. Same with a booking. Oh my God, if somebody says, well, I'm thinking about a booking, okay, good, well, what were you thinking about? Thursday or Friday? I've got this, we know to go right in, capitalize, and get the booking. Why don't we do that with recruiting? There is no reason, because what Love just explained to you is exactly what I do at a party. She tells them about it, she invites them to join, and then she asks them, and she signs them then. So the only difference that made my recruiting change is that I do the interview at the party. What do people really need to know before they become a Pampered Chef consultant? Are we going to take their firstborn child if they don't, do $12.50 in the first 2 hours? No. People need to know what's the cost and what's the reward. And you have to make this so simple and not overwhelm people. I'm going to promise you, people come into my parties and say, oh, I was going to come and buy a mini spatula, and all of a sudden she say, well, what's your social security number? Let's get you that. Okay? But I can take them, and you can too, but you can take them from A all the way to Z busy at a party, and here's how, okay? So people don't recruit because either there's one of three things. They're not sharing it. They're just not talking about it enough. They don't know how to close the deal, or they just aren't in front of enough people. They're not doing parties. And like I said an hour ago, so many consultants out there are just diddling around on Facebook trying to sell a few brownie pans here and there. You're going to recruit nobody. Your team will not grow with that kind of business. It's a stagnant, dying business. It's a desperation hanging on to what we got. We want to grow, and that's not the way to grow. The way to grow is to get them out in front of 10 people and then teach them this concept that recruiting is as simple as selling a rock crock. If I'm going to sell a rock crock, I'm going to talk about, oh my gosh, you have a family of 6 kids, we could do 6 chicken breasts. I'm single. You could do 2 chicken breasts. I don't eat meat. You could do macaroni. You have to constantly react and change and throw out something else. It's the same with recruiting. It's the exact same thing. Same with a booking. Think about it. Hey, how would you like to do a Mexican margarita party? I'm a recovering alcoholic. Okay, never mind. But it's all about, you have to dance with them. They move forward, you move. You move back. Do you see what I'm saying? Go back and forth, back and forth. So an example of what I mean of getting them all the way, it would be informing them about the great opportunity we have. And I'm talking about at the party right now, but in 1 second, with a $39 kit, the $39 kit gives us permission and the desire to just shout it from the rooftops. Now, we always have great kits and great deals. We just don't do this. It takes something extra special. And I'll tell you who the company is doing the $39 kit for. They're doing it for you. Not your new recruits necessarily. They're doing it so that you get so excited that you about pee your pants. When you, well, I really am peeing my pants. That pee. But anyway, not on the table.
No, we are.
So, a $39 kit is what causes you to rebuild, regrow, recharge, get excited, and go out there. But on an everyday basis, when you have 109, 159, and 249 kids, your job is to tell them like 3 things. Oh my gosh, I would love to have you think about the Pampered Chef business. Here are 3 reasons why people join my team every day. They want a great set of products for their kitchen at a great price, and they're willing to do a few parties to justify it. You could be a very part-time consultant, you could do 2 parties a month, you could do 10 parties a month. I have people that are selling all on Facebook. How many of you are making money on Facebook? No, you're spending time on Facebook. I can show you how to make money on Facebook. And then I'm also looking for people who maybe work full-time. How many of you work full-time? And hands will go up because remember I told you, you have to appeal to where they are in their life. If you're just talking to people, like they don't work already, and they're going, well, I already got a job, so this isn't for me. I say, how many of you work full-time? Oh my gosh, could you give me 3 hours once a week, Bobby? That's what virtual people are doing, and they're making $500, $600, $800. I'd love to have you as a part-time partner with me, and whatever time you can give me, we'll make it work. So here's all you need to do. The first step is pick out which kit you want. Oh my gosh, and then I'll go through the kits and, oh my gosh, there's that $119 rock crock in the $159 kit. You'd be crazy. Okay? And then we go to the final thing, which is closing the deal. And all you're going to say to them is, so friends, tonight, before you leave, I hope you'll consider getting one of our starter kits today. And tomorrow, we'll get you started in whatever capacity you want to do the business. But I'm telling you, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And when you join tonight, you get a pick from this basket of some crap that I don't want. And our host gets a pick from the basket of this crap that I don't want. And they're going to go home, assigned consultants. I promise you it will work, but it will not work if you don't believe it will work. It's the only thing I can tell you. There is no reason to do an interview except to get them signed. If you can sign them at the party, why wouldn't you? So you get your contract out, but guess what? You've got a phone, you've got a iPad, a laptop, sign them up right then and there, and you will get them, I promise you. So do I have any last thoughts on this? My voice is going, it looks like. I guess the final thing that I would say about recruiting, though, outside of your parties with this $39 kit, is that we obviously don't want just a bunch of people signing up for $39 to get $87 worth of products. I mean, that's not what it's for. So guess what? The one I signed already today took the 159 kit. So don't only focus on that. That again is assuming that they don't want all the products or that they can't afford it. And you might lose a recruit that really would like the good deal on the bigger kit. So please offer them all of them and just tell them that this is a great, who would this kit be really great for? Past consultant, somebody who's got everything, somebody who can't afford it, somebody who wants to be a virtual consultant, because those products are very demonstrable. I mean, almost always, and if I do a virtual party, I always demonstrate that little breakfast sandwich maker because it's easy and fast and I can get a sale really quickly. So think about how you're going to use this $39 kit to get into that regrowth, rebuild, boom in business, because that's what propelled my team to go from executive to senior executive, was all that 79 people that came in all at once, and we didn't know what we were doing. We just muddled through, and that's what ended up happening. So go and recruit. All right. All right, so the last frontier is the idea of fast-paced promotion of directors. Now, I'll tell you, Love has a great system of focusing on fast-track directors. Do you want to go first on that? No. All right. So what can I just share with you? Because we've got 5 minutes. All right. Remember we talked about that when you have a spurt of growth, that you have to capitalize on it. So the idea was that last year when we were getting people coming in and I saw any hope, and I usually focused on 2 or 3 people. Love has a system of concentrating on a lot more. I'm old, half senile, I can't think that fast anymore. But anyway, I would choose, it would be like my golden child, it would be like Patty. I would pick her, choose her. And I would say to her, I really think, I know you can't do this, Patty. I really think, girl, that you can really do this with the business. So what would usually spark it was they would either be super enthusiastic, they'd have a good launch party, they would do whatever you asked them to do. How many of you have ever had a consultant? Once in a while, it was like that. They do what you tell them to do. So you just tell them right from the beginning that you totally believe that they can do this because they don't know any better. You know, 12-year consultants on my team who want to be a director know better, you know, and I know better. They can maybe develop, but your best picks are brand new consultants. Fast track director probably was the best gift that we were given. I mean, I don't think that Love and I embraced it right away. Did we? Did you? She was faster than me. She is.
Marna, don't feel bad. Nobody did.
Okay, there you
We
go.
almost did away with
They
it.
almost canned it.
Yep.
So anytime that the company has a great program, you better act on it and make it a success because this is what they're threatening. They'll take it away, right?
Nobody was
Right.
doing it.
That's true. We had like 6 or 3. There'd be like 3 little ribbons at
Yeah,
conference. Like,
right.
woo, that was a big success. So anyway, when I do a new consultant training, I'm always talking about the 2,000 on the table, like Becky taught us to, and say, look, I would not, you know, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you how you could earn this $2,000. And some people will pick up on it right away. So when you see that spark, I attach myself, those people become my left boob. I mean, they're like attached, I couldn't think of any word, that was the only one. We already discussed 18-hour bras, so this is bad. They never can record me because it's always such ridiculous words. But that's the person that I give my time, my energy, my focus, my love to. Because I can't do this with everybody. I've got a whole organization. You've got a whole business to run. But you can pick 1 or 2 or 3 people and do it with. And that's what I would tell you to do today. If you don't have brand new recruits today, you will tomorrow, but right now, I want you to go through your list of your consultants and choose 1 or 2 or 3. And I want you to message them and say, I want to do, Love and I love this word. We use the word pilot program. I'm initiating a pilot program to work with consultants. What does that mean? we don't know what the hell we're doing. But we're going to call it, because we've initiated many pilot programs. So anyway, you tell them I'm going to initiate a pilot program. I can only pick 2 people on our entire team, and I'd like to work with you. Would you work with me for the next 30 days to see where we can get your business to go? And just work, you have to pour into them. You've got to call them before parties. You've got to call them after parties. You've got to take their messages. And you know who probably the most potential person is that new consultant who annoys the hell out of you. That's usually the one that promotes, because they drive me crazy. They're asking me every question all the time. I'm typing an answer to them. But those are usually the people that do well. Now, there are programs that you can run. Love is great at running a program all the time. You're going to share your programs? All right. And our team has done them off and on sporadically. I'm not always so good with keeping up with programs. I mean, I'll start them, but they end up kind of fizzling, or the participants fizzle. That's what's always, and that discourages me. But one thing that you could do would be just start out with like a Sunday night chat with Lucy. And get anybody on there that will chat with you about what their business has done this week and what they've got planned, and do a Zoom call. And every week you give them tips and ideas on how to get more bookings. Ellington Boyce has a plan out there where she tells people, she makes the call, she said, you've got 2 weeks to book, how many parties? 8 parties for the next. You got 2 weeks to book 8 parties. If you can do that, we'll put you in a group. They do it. Wow. You just have to tell them specifically what to do. It's amazing what the human spirit will do given belief and a system and a formula and the idea that they can do it. Because what we just don't expect anything from people. We just kind of go along, lolly, 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 lolly. And imagine if you raised your kids like that. Imagine what we would have. Well, there are some people that do raise their kids that way, but not us. We expect things from them. So please choose some people and just work with them. If you don't want to have a formal system, Love's going to share with you a formal system. But I mean, the best advice I can give you is to tell people what's on the table. Tell them that you'll handhold them. And if they're an existing consultant, I would give them 2 weeks to prove that they can get the bookings, and then put them into your weekly call and make them run and go. And I'm done because my voice is done and Love's going to take over.
Just to wrap this up, we just took our Q&A time, so anyway. To wrap this up, if you're not focused on Fast Track, that's where you want to be. And if I could have Jennifer Henderson stand up, just so if you're falling asleep, just stand up for a minute. You're going to get to hear from Jennifer tomorrow, I believe. And she is someone who really focused on Fast Track with her directors. And I can tell you that when Jennifer came in, Fast Track was presented to her, and she entered a director bound program our team had to go after Fast Track. And well, me and Jennifer, we kind of on the slow track, right, Jennifer girl? We definitely weren't fast track directors. So Jennifer took our director bound program a couple times. So it's okay if consultants take it a couple times. It just wasn't the right timing for her. But let me tell you, when it was the right timing for her, she took off. And so had I not planted that seed of fast track with her when she first started, she might not have been pursuing directorship. But she in turn planted that fast track seed with all of her people that she's developed to director. So I want to share with you 2 of Jennifer's directors this past year were not even consultants on Jennifer's team in January of 2018. And they both, the 2 people that joined Jennifer's team, closed the year. One of them earned the Scottsdale trip. One of them earned the Hawaii trip. Wow. The one that earned the Hawaii trip is a full-time nurse. She works 5 days a week, full-time as a nurse. Wasn't even on Jennifer's team when the year started. She made about $21,000 last year with her side gig Pampered Chef income, in addition to her full-time job and her 2 young kids, and she's taken her family to Hawaii. But had Jennifer not shared Fast Track with her, she promoted in her first month of business. And had Jennifer not shared that with her, she might not even be a consultant, because she started making money right away and saw success in this business right away. And so, Jennifer, every single director you have on your team, I think, pretty much went for Fast Track, even though not all of them achieved it. And you have 4 directors on your team right now?
Yes, I just promoted one
last night.
Yeah, last night.
before a meeting. Sometimes it's posting just a little event on Facebook, sometimes it's a Zoom phone call. I mean, it's different things. But just to plant that information that they can make more money, that there's more money out there, there's more out there for them in the business than just selling. Then invite them to a program. Our program is just a Sunday night or a Monday night phone call. We get on the call and we just chat. We teach bookings, host coaching, recruiting, customer care. We just teach what we do in our parties to make it successful. There's no secret formula to a program. It's just being in front of people and building those relationships with the people on your team. And as we wrap up, one point that Marna and I talked about, thank you, Jennifer, one point that Marna and I talked about, but we didn't end up mentioning tonight, is if you want to develop directors of your team, you can't sit back and just wait for that person to just rise to the top and say, oh, I want to be a director, and oh, they just go do it. It's up to you. You've got to push. You've got to push them to do it because they don't believe they can do it. Every single person on our team that is promoted to director, I think will tell you they didn't believe they could do it. Like Amanda's story, she said, well, Lud and Jennifer called me like 48 hours before and said, look, girl, you realize how close you are? You can do this. And, you know, that's how it happens. If we had just left it up to them, it's not that they can't do it, they don't believe they can do it. So you have to make it happen. And that's what happened with the promotions on our team last night. You know, we didn't leave it up to them to think they could do it. I mean, Angela's, the new girl that promoted last night, she still has 2 more months. I mean, she's in her like 34th day and she promoted. Jennifer's girl promoted in 23 days. She still had 2 more months she could have promoted. But she had the sales, she had the team members. I mean, she was working the business. But had we just left it up to them, it wouldn't have happened because they wouldn't have believed it could happen. So you've just got to take the reins and push those promotions because then it works.
And that, just to add on to that, and then we will be done. But it truly happens over and over and over. What I look for are sellers first. If they can get the sales in, we get the sales first, and then we go after the recruits. You would think it would be the opposite way, but it really isn't. I have them, once I get a seller. So Gail promoted to advanced director because she had a consultant on her team that had a killer November going on. And by about November 15th, we hadn't even chatted about her promoting to director. And Gail and I had a chat, and we looked at Terry's stats, and we said, she's got to go for it. She's got to get her director promotion this month. And that's where you come in. They don't understand, but you do. So you look and see, who do you need to reach out to push? Because if you've got a girl with 4,000 in personal sales and 1,000, you know, on one of her people, she's got her sales in, that is a crime to not promote her to director, in my opinion. It's a crime. You have got to tell her, you are 3 people and $450 in sales away from being a director. Will you work with me? Let's go for it. And that's what Gail did with Terry, and she promoted on December 1st. With 2 weeks, she did it. So that's how we develop directors. There is no, well, I'm just waiting for them to do it. They're just not doing anything. They're not going to do anything. It's us that's going to do it and show them the way and guide them because they don't know how to do it. So that's how Love and I, that's one of the reasons that we were able to, I think that we developed 7 directors last year, or 8 or something. But it wasn't just like, oh, it just happened and I woke up. No, it was on the phone. And then sometimes some of those people were saying, I'm not going to make it. Oh, yes, you are. You will make it. You will be making it. So that's, and they did. So please, please know that you have the power. It's right in your hand. You have to just pass it off to them. You will not believe how many leaders you can promote if you would adopt some of these systems. Okay? All right.
So one thing we want you to do this weekend is write down 3 things from teamwork and activity, fast-paced recruiting growth, and career plan advancement that you heard from Marna and I and all the other speakers that you're going to hear from, that you can go home and implement those small little things you can do to create those cultures you want. So when you go home on Monday, you have small little things you can start doing in your business.
Start somewhere. Start right away. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, y'all.